everyone, and welcome to the CanadianSME Small Business Podcast. This is your host, Maheen, and we are back again with another enlightening episode. Today, we pivot our focus towards sustainability in business practices, a topic of paramount importance in today's world. We'll explore the impact of environmental, social, and governance, the ESG principles on businesses, and how they contribute to a sustainable future. Today, we're joined by Lisa-Annabel Ellis, the visionary founder of YellowYellow ESG Advisory. Lisa is a solution-focused sustainability professional with over 2 decades of experience in shaping business and operational strategies across diverse sectors. Her work at YellowYellow exemplifies her commitment to enhancing ESG performance and driving meaningful impact. Today, she joins us to share her insights on integrating sustainability into business strategies, the importance of supporting Indigenous communities, and preparing for ESG disclosures. Join us as we delve into these critical topics, shedding light on how businesses can thrive by adopting sustainable practices. Good afternoon, Lisa, and welcome to the CanadianSME Small Business Podcast. How are you today?
Thank you, Maheen. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm great.
We're very pleased to have you with us this afternoon. And Lisa, your journey from assessing to integrating sustainability for business strategy is nothing short of inspiring. And we're quite excited to delve deeper into your journey and your expertise. As we begin today's conversation with Lisa-Annabel, I'd like to take a moment to connect with you, our listeners. Sustainability isn't just a concept for businesses to consider. It's really a call to action for all of us in every aspect of our lives. Let's carry these questions with us, looking for actionable answers in our discussion. Let's begin by speaking a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. Your journey with to entrepreneurship with YellowYellow ESG Advisory is a testament to your commitment to sustainability. Let our audience also know, what was the driving force, or what was the motivation behind you starting the company, and what is the biggest hurdle in your journey, and how did you overcome it?
Yes, excellent question. I'm thrilled to be here and to share my journey. How it started, actually, is quite interesting. I studied environmental science, many decades ago. Before that was mainstream, and then I kind of pivoted into business and enjoyed several corporate roles that were quite successful. However, in 2019, after seeing Inconvenient Truth and then recently some other movies and reading books and watching Greta Thunberg and seeing what she's doing, stopping at the UN and crying out to the world, saying that we're in a climate crisis, I decided it was time for me to do my part. So at the organization that I was in at the time, I went to the sustainability department and said, "Hi, I'm here. Let me help you. I have some training in this area. I'm passionate about this. Can I help you?" And they politely declined, and they said I need some experience. So lo and behold, I sent out potentially 100 or 200 applications for different roles in the space in ESG and in sustainability. And this was in 2020, just at the start of the lockdown and the pandemic. And then I realized all of these organizations are telling me that I don't have experience. You know what? I'm going to make my own experience.
Right.
So in the dark days of the lockdown, I opened up YellowYellow ESG Advisory and decided that I was going to do exactly what I was hoping to do with an organization on my own.
That's amazing. And your story, it really provides invaluable lessons for aspiring entrepreneurs, especially in the realm of sustainability. Now, because we touched base on ESG in the very beginning, let's try to understand it a bit more, because there's often a lot of confusion between ESG, CSR, and sustainability. Lisa, for our listeners unfamiliar with these items or these terms, how do you define ESG, and how does it differ from CSR and sustainability?
Yeah. Excellent question. So those three terms are used interchangeably, and not everybody knows what they are or what the differences are. So let me start by saying each one of those terms, ESG, CSR, and sustainability, has different objectives and different frameworks. ESG typically has an investment framework. It's E stands for the environment, S stands for social, and G stands for governance. And E could be things like energy, emissions, waste, and water. Social, the umbrella of that would be health and safety, And under governance, that could be things like cybersecurity, that sort of thing. CSR is a term that's more generic, and it's about corporate social responsibility, and it's about companies being good corporate citizens.
Mhm.
And so the audience of that is more about social impact. And the term, I would say, is a bit outdated. It's not as new as ESG. And sustainability is something that goes way back to the 2000 and it goes back even earlier. It's a term that basically came from the Brundtland Report, where we're trying to not jeopardize the prosperity of tomorrow by what we're doing today. So sustainability is thinking about the future. And
Mhm.
so it's an overarching term that I would say encompasses both CSR and ESG. There has been a little bit of backlash around the term ESG recently, but it doesn't matter what you call it. It's all about doing the right thing.
You're right. I mean, clarifying these concepts is so crucial for businesses that are looking to adopt responsible practices. But if we delve deeper into this, why is focusing on ESG particularly beneficial for small and medium-sized businesses?
That's an excellent question. As a small business myself, I would say it's a differentiator. And these big corporations, they're like cruise ships, and these small businesses, and medium businesses, we're the jet skis, and we can make an impact. So I think it's crucial for these small businesses and medium-sized businesses to integrate ESG principles into their operations, so they can be sustainable for the long term. And what I mean by that is by addressing these things, they have higher employee retention. They're able to attract more employees, and most of all, they're able to keep their customers happy, and they're thinking about the planet.
Right. Now, the advantages of implementing the ESG principles, they extend beyond the environmental impact. Lisa, can you share examples of simple yet impactful ESG principles that have proven successful for businesses?
You bet, you bet. And at the end of the day, we're businesses, and we're thinking about things like cash flow and growing the business, and competition. So at the very basics, ESG sometimes is communicating things that you're already doing. And adopting ESG principles could be as simple as sharing with the world what your policies are around, for example, under the S, diversity and inclusion. You might have, for example, a diverse workforce. You might have some new Canadians in your workforce. You might have some females. You might have other underrepresented populations, and sharing that with your stakeholders, and that could be your investors, that could be your customers, that could be your employees, just elevates your organization against your peers.
Mm-hmm. Now, to add on to this, and for our listeners to get some hold on to a crucial advice, what advice would you give to businesses that are just starting their ESG journey?
Excellent question. And I love to hear that question around just starting their ESG journey. ESG is very new, so most companies are just starting their ESG journey. So don't be alarmed or overwhelmed. This is something that is certainly doable, and the return on effort is extremely high. I would start by, first of all, doing some introspection and understanding what your goals are as an organization, what your vision is, and how does that align with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. I'm wearing the Sustainable Development Goal pin from the United Nations. And you can go to the website, the Sustainable Development Goals for the United Nations, and you can see there's 17 of them. And I would say maybe select 2 or 3 that resonate with your organization. And that might be, for example, around climate action, or that
Mm-hmm.
might be around water, or that might be around diversity and inclusion. And try and better understand, like, what is your organization doing in relation to those, and set some goals, some near-term goals and some longer-term goals. That's one thing that organizations can do to get started.
Wow. I mean, your insights really provide a roadmap for businesses that are looking to embark on this path. So thank you, Lisa, for that. Reflecting on the tangible benefits of ESG principles Lisa-Annabel just shared, it's clear that integrating sustainability isn't just good for the planet, it's a strategic advantage for businesses. This moment is an invitation for us, especially those among us steering small and medium sized enterprises, to contemplate how adopting these principles can drive not just environmental but economic value as well. Now let's discuss navigating the ESG landscape, because the landscape of ESG in reporting and disclosures is ever evolving. Lisa, how can companies get started with disclosures and reporting ahead of upcoming regulations?
Yeah, well, that's an excellent question. In fact, in Europe, there were already mandatory disclosures, and in the U.S., that is also the case. So coming soon in Canada, we're going to have mandatory disclosures. So it's my advice is for organizations is to start now, start before the regulations are in place, because it's only going to become more expensive to do this when it's regulated. And how companies can start is start thinking about what those regulations are going to be around. So, for example, for big polluters, there already is some regulations around reporting your emissions or your energy consumption. So I guess I would start by thinking about what those regulations are going to require. And then, so for example, in the energy perspective, it's as simple as having a better understanding of your utility consumption. And that would be your hydro bills, your energy bills. And for example, if you're signing a lease with a landlord, make sure in your lease you're asking for access to those utility bills and those other bills so that when you are required to report, it's not a big drama to get that information from your landlord.
No, preparing for these changes is quite essential, and your expertise they provide quite a beacon of hope for many. Now, with the complex landscape, as we've discussed just now, how can YellowYellow ESG Advisory assist businesses in this process?
Excellent question. Thank you. So YellowYellow aims to be your in-house expert. And unlike the big firms that promise to be all things to all people, that, for example, the big consulting firms, the big engineering firms, the accounting firms, we're there with you. We're there listening to you and understanding what your specific vision is for your ESG strategy. Or if you don't have one, we're there to help you put it together. So we'll listen to you and understanding that all organizations are unique and all of them have different goals and aspirations. We'll work with you specifically to close any gaps that we see or to amplify any amazing things that you're doing right now to get you going in the right direction. We'll be the boots on the ground that understand your problems and innovate with you. So for instance, if we identify something that you may not even be aware of, for example, a coming regulation around EVs or a coming regulation around recycling, we'll support you and elevate you looking at global best practices so that you can stand out from your peers and feel secured and about the future.
Amazing. Now, Lisa, your personal anecdotes, they provide a unique perspective on your professional insights. Could the story behind YellowYellow's unusual name interest our audience?
You bet. I'm so glad you asked that question because I have to say, is the number one question that I get asked. Some people want to know if it's the song from Coldplay. Other people want to know if that's my favorite color. And the answers to those questions is no and no. So YellowYellow, the name came about again back in 2020 in the dark days of the lockdown. I was a little bit ahead of the curve in my ESG advisory, and I was trying to come up with a name that would uniquely represent what YellowYellow wants to deliver in the marketplace, which is a bespoke, customized solution for organizations that is data-driven, and it's not what I would say greenwashing. Because I'm not sure if your listeners are familiar with the term greenwashing, but unfortunately, there are organizations that are promising something, but they're doing something different. And that's what's called greenwashing. Fortunately, the governments and the Competition Bureau are cracking down on those people that are saying something and doing something different. And then there's also green hushing when they say nothing. So YellowYellow, the name came about with the desire to be memorable, to stand apart from the competition. And again, it's also, if you remember that movie, Inconvenient Truth, nobody wants to hear the bad news that, the end of the world is happening. So that's a bit of yellow. Yellow represents hope. So I think there's hope. There is time. There is something that we can do. But on the flip side, yellow is also a caution color. Right. If we think of the yellow light at a traffic light, yellow is representing that flashing yellow light as danger, crisis. We're on the verge of a climate crisis. And so that's where the name came about.
We love the inspiration and motivation behind the entire platform and, of course, the name. It's so thoughtful and clever,
Thank you.
indeed. But on that note, Lisa, can you share a story that might resonate with our listeners? It might be related to securing a major client that you did through your platform.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you for asking that question, Naheen. My the name is so unique that when I present to the C-suite, they don't need to write down the name; they'll remember it, and it's a visual. It's a color, and I give presentations and pitches to a lot of C-suite leaders, and in Montreal and in Toronto and in the States. But the name is so unique that there was one presentation that I delivered, and 6 months later, I didn't hear anything. But one day, the executive assistant to this executive said that her boss had asked her to look up YellowYellow, and there we were. So I love the fact that the name is so unique that people will remember it and call us up. And even if I don't hear from them for a month, I know that they'll remember my
They'll
name
remember it.
6 months later.
Now, the story it really adds a personal touch, illustrating the human aspect behind such a professional facade. Folks, today's conversation underscores a critical realization. The journey towards sustainable and enhanced ESG performance is both urgent and continuous. As we close today's episode, let's commit to taking at least one step forward in this direction, inspired by the insights shared. Before we conclude, Lisa, any final words of wisdom or advice for our listeners, especially those aspiring to make a significant impact in their industries through sustainability?
Beautiful. So this is why I started my journey in YellowYellow, and working with other businesses. I think there's a B2B opportunity here because that expression, be the change you want to see in the world. And so I think all of those business leaders that are listening to this, think about what your organization can do to make the world a better place. Think about from an E perspective, what your emissions are. Think about your waste, your water usage. From an S perspective, think about your labor practices. Thinking about what you're doing to improve the health and wellness of your employees. And from a governance perspective, like how are you tying that all together? So I think there's a great opportunity for organizations and for business leaders to adopt this and integrate them. Actually, I see this converging in the future, the ESG practices and business practices to provide extremely valuable returns for organizations. In fact, I see the ESG focused businesses having a stronger return.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for joining us today and for sharing such invaluable insights into the world of ESG and sustainability and the contributions that you're making towards a sustainable future. They're very inspiring, and we're very grateful for you to be here to share your knowledge. So thank you so much for that.
My pleasure. It was a privilege to speak with you and to your listeners.
In today's podcast, we cover the essence of ESG, its benefits for SMEs, and how businesses can really navigate the complexities of sustainability reporting and disclosures. Lisa's journey and the stories behind YellowYellow remind us of the power of persistence, innovation, and the importance of embracing sustainability. A huge thank you to Lisa, and we would also like to extend our thanks to our partners, exclusive banking partner RBC, shipping partner UPS, exclusive accounting software partner Xero, and email partner Constant Contact. For more insights into the world of Canadian SMEs and to stay updated on the latest trends in sustainability, subscribe to the Canadian SME Small Business Magazine by visiting our website, CanadianSME.ca.